Oh, good. They can't hear us. Excellent. Well, I want to welcome everybody to a very odd Saturday night podcast here. Cal and I have been doing a lot of talking and thinking about the Kickstarter that we did for RTX 2013 for the Griffball booth, and we really wanted to do a podcast to kind of reflect on what the process was like, how we got started, the things that we learned along the way, which that list is pretty long, and kind of where we see it going in the future, and what we're hoping to accomplish for RTX 2014 when we've already started thinking and have some thoughts in the process as well. And probably most importantly, getting questions from the chat box as well. So for anybody who's interested in maybe doing their own Kickstarter or fundraising for their site or for something else that they've got going on, not even necessarily gaming related, but we definitely learned a lot from it, and there's a lot of stuff I wish I had known before doing our first ones, so we definitely wanted to give that back. So I guess that was our intro. So everybody, welcome to the Griffball Hub RTX 2013 Kickstarter Review Podcast.
Yes. So this was a major undertaking.
Shouldn't we introduce ourselves?
Oh, yes. I'm Cal.
I'm Goose Checka.
Yes.
I'm Riley Fox. Y'all.
Nah, just Cal and Goose tonight. But the RTX Griffball Kickstarter was a huge undertaking. It was a very big step forward for Griffball, and also a very big step forward for Halo communities in general.
That's what I said, is one small step for Griffball, one giant leap for fan-run community organizational kind.
Yes, a very big leap for sports games within first-person shooters.
Yes.
This is first of its kind for Halo communities to put together a Kickstarter to raise funds on this level, and then to use those funds to have a booth space at a major convention. I mean, we've gone to PAX for many years. We've brought swag for many years, all the way back from 2009. PAX 2009, we had the original Griffball panel with Bernie and the AGLA and all that. So we always brought buttons and wristbands and other small pieces of swag with us at PAX. We've had a couple other panels. Goose has been on many panels at PAX and RTX in the past. But
I get to talk a lot.
Yes. So this is the first big step for Griffball to actually have a presence on the show floor. A place where anybody can come by, they can talk Griffball with some experts, they can talk about the leaks, learn about how the site works, pick up some really cool swag, some new swag. And also, the most important thing we did at the booth is also having LAN Griffball stations.
Yep. So I guess we should just start where it started. We were at PAX East 2013, and Cal, I think we should do some role-playing here, some spontaneous role-playing. I think you should play you, and I'll play me.
This is a tough role.
I know, so find your motivation.
Okay.
And we should just kind of role-play how this evolved. So
Hi, I'm Cal. I have ideas. I don't know what I'm doing.
Anyway, so why don't we just go ahead and roleplay that? Go ahead, Cal, you start.
Hey, I have a really, really crazy idea.
What's that?
Now, this is going to sound really crazy, but what if we had, a Griffball booth at the convention?
Are you fucking insane?
Why, yes, I am, but don't let that stop you.
And scene. And that is really where it began, me calling Cal insane. And then he went on to convince me, in the next 20 minutes of walking through PAX, about floor space and looking at the people who were exhibiting there. Not all AAA titles, some smaller venues as well.
Yeah, we saw there were indie games. There were some local Boston people who were there exhibiting.
State Farm?
Yeah, State Farm had a booth, and some community college in Boston had a booth. I was thinking,
the guy in
they have look at these 10x10 spaces they have here.
Yes.
And they have one or two people working the booth. And the show hours, so big, and we already know at least a dozen Griffballers that are going to RTX who'd be happy to volunteer to work the booth, so it's not like we would need to be there all the time. So why don't we consider how much this could cost? What would the prices be? I know if you get a booth at PAX, it would probably be out of our price range. But RTX is a smaller convention. It has one thing going for it. It's smaller, so it's going to be a cheaper booth presence. Mm-hmm. And two, they know who we are. And we've worked with Rooster Teeth many times before. We were there last year. They might be able to give us some kind of discount on booth space as well. So as we were walking around PAX East, Goose checked the exhibitor flyer for RTX 2013, found out how much the booth space costs, and think, oh, it's what, $1,100?
It's $1,200.
$1,200 for a 10 by 10 booth.
Yeah.
So, thought, okay, well, how are we going to raise $1,200? Well, we've seen a lot of very successful Kickstarters.
Oh, look, there is a Kickstarter panel coming up in a couple hours.
Yeah, so why don't we go to this Kickstarter panel? The panel is designed to walk us through the process so we can figure out how do I kickstart?
Yes. With 3Ks.
With 3Ks, yes. How do I kick?
Right.
No, not 3Ks.
That would be very bad. Kickstarter already has 2Ks in it.
Oh, okay. There's an extra K in the middle.
Yeah.
Not 3Ks in a row.
No, unless it's baseball when they're backwards. Which
okay.
I never understood.
We did not strike out.
Okay. We didn't. We hit a home run.
We hit a home run.
Woo!
So we went to the Kickstarter panel, and there the person, a guy named Max, who did Cards Against Humanity, he was there at the Kickstarter panel, and the panel was basically, he was walking us through the creation of his next project. He was creating werewolf cards. If anyone's familiar with it's a party card game that's very popular in colleges in the East Coast. So he was making custom werewolf cards, and he launched his Kickstarter there at the panel. He only had one donation tier, so for $10 you could order a set of cards. We would mail them to you. And he set his goal at $500. And while he was at the panel, they left it up on the screen after he launched it at the panel, and people in the room were all donating to his Kickstarter, buying their cards and donating it for $10 reward level. So we saw it tick up in real time, and he hit $500. He got 50 donors while we were at the panel.
20 minutes?
Yeah, about 20 minutes.
And I feel like there should have been a disclaimer: results are not typical.
Yeah.
But it was cool to sit there because he actually submitted it, and then one of the heads of Kickstarter was another one of the panelists, and he actually approved it on the spot so that it could actually start.
They walked through all the major tips of, if you're starting a Kickstarter campaign, this is what you want to have on your page.
Yes, you must have a video.
Yes.
You can't not. You need to have a video, and it cannot be more than 2 minutes long, otherwise no one's going to watch it.
Yeah, they were emphasizing the importance of having a video that was visually interesting to look at, so it wasn't just you staring into your webcam talking.
Yeah.
That was a big no. It can't be too long, because your pitch needs to be, they always say like an elevator pitch. If you only have 30 seconds with someone, what are you going to tell them to get them to support your project? Mm-hmm. So that should be your main focus of your video. And this video is going to be embedded at the very top of your Kickstarter page, so it's going to be the very first thing everybody sees. So it has to be catching and informative. It pretty much needs to be good enough to entice people to donate.
Mm-hmm. And they had a lot of tips there, some that we really took to heart, such as make sure that you send out a lot of updates to your donors. And they really stressed the 30-day window for having donations, because you can have it as short as a couple days.
Yep. And
as long as, I think, 2 months?
Yeah, it used to be 90 days for Kickstarter. They used to allow projects to be open for 90 days for donations. But they found out that every single Kickstarter follows the exact same path.
Yeah.
Where there's a flurry of activity in the first 2 or 3 days, then it hits a huge lull, it tapers off for about the first week, and then it hits a huge lull for however long the middle portion is. And then at the end, it boosts right back up in activity over the the last 72 hours. And every single Kickstarter has this very wide U pattern to it. So it doesn't matter how long your Kickstarter is, that 15, 30, 60 days, if you make your Kickstarter longer, it's just going to elongate that lull period in the middle.
And we definitely experienced that. First, we met our first goal within 48 hours.
Yep, within the first weekend.
We hit, our original goal was $1,600, and we hit that in the first 40 to 72 hours. And then it really kind of tapered off, and then in the last 72 to 48 hours, we got up to $4,600.
Yep. It was also important at the panel, they talked about prize rewards, the different reward levels you can give people based on how much they pledge. It was important to know that it has to be things that you have created yourself, in a manner of speaking. For example, we couldn't go to Rooster Teeth and buy 200 Griff balls and then promise to give those Griff balls away on our different pledge levels, because they're not our creations. They're not something that we would have the right to give away as a prize for Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So everything on each Kickstarter level has to be something that we are creating ourselves.
Mm-hmm. And that was probably one of the most challenging things about the entire Kickstarter, was developing the reward levels.
Yes.
And we definitely made some mistakes there and learned a lot of lessons. about that?
I'd say you can look at a lot of Kickstarters, especially the most popular Kickstarters. I mean, one of the most popular ones in the gaming community was Penny Arcade did one for removing banner ads from their website.
Yeah.
They had their ultimate goal, I think, was like $2 million was what they were really shooting for, so that they could promise to have Penny Arcade have no ads for the foreseeable future anywhere. And their Kickstarter, they only hit 500,000. That was enough for them to get the money. I think their reward, what's it called? The amount they were originally asking for, I think, was like 10,000 or something like that.
So they more than exceeded their goal.
Yeah, they exceeded. That's it. They exceeded their goal, but they were looking for $2 million. They raised 500,000. But their reward levels, there are several reward levels they have that have 0 backers.
Yeah,
like there are some that totally washed out and failed that nobody took advantage of.
Well, so did we. So
yeah. So it's not just something that is a failing of our Kickstarter, but it's something you see on many other Kickstarters as well. Because it's difficult to anticipate what do people want, what they don't want, what do people value, and perhaps more importantly, what are we willing to put in the time to create that's not going to take away from us creating what the Kickstarter is ultimately for.
At the Kickstarter panel, they talked a lot about be aware of how much time it's going to take.
Yes.
For more well-known people, if they promise an autograph to everybody who donates, then if they get 3,000 backers, that means they're going to be signing 3,000 things, and to take that into consideration. And our challenge, it was a little bit different and not something that really got addressed in that panel, which is why we want to do this podcast, is that nobody's going to pay for our signatures. Like, no one's going to pay for a Goose Checka signature or a Calbagarian signature.
Yes, unless it's at the bottom of a check.
Yeah, I mean, they might pay for a Taco Pizza Hunter signature, but, it's just... And, we don't really have our own merchandise that we particularly make. I mean, we've made some free giveaways before, but we've never really created anything of our own, and it was also very difficult because our subject matter is copyrighted by 2 different entities.
Yes.
It's property of Rooster Teeth and it's property of 343/Microsoft, and we really don't want a cease and desist. So I know it was very, very challenging for us to come up with reward tiers that would be enticing, that people would really want, and that we could actually do.
Yes. And the other big thing, 2 other big things they were warned about at the panel, they're like, please don't do this, you're going to screw your life if you do. 1, keep in mind shipping costs.
Oh, Lord.
Is that it always costs more than you anticipate to ship things, especially ship things overseas. In the end, for us, it cost about rounding up, about $4, 3 and change, to ship out all of the packs to the $75 donors. Mm-hmm. Except for the overseas donors, that cost about $13 each.
Yeah.
So it's an extra $10 for overseas orders. So you might reach a point where every order you get in is actually going to be costing you more money, which is the second point they warned about.
Yeah.
That if you have stretch goals, we start promising more and more merch that you're going to be giving away, make sure that the costs are properly accounted for each additional donor. You don't want to reach a point where you have 200 donors and say they donate $50 each and they get a bag of swag, and that additional bag of swag ends up costing more than $50 each, including shipping. So that each new donor you get in, you're like, no, stop giving. I'm losing money with every person who donates. So
just real quick, what a stretch goal is, in case, because I don't know the Kickstarter savvy level of...
Yeah, maybe we should describe Kickstarter as exactly how it works.
So we'll take a step back here. Kickstarter is basically a fundraising website that allows specific, I don't want to say...
Projects, there
you go. It allows specific projects to raise money on their site. There are things that are not allowed, such as pornography or dating tip sites, or they have some very specific stuff that it can't be. Mm-hmm. But it allows you to set up a website that has, like we mentioned, the video, and it has your goals listed on it, and it allows you to send out updates and everything. It's really, really fantastic. And we were just talking about the pledge goals. So, for example, if you gave $1 to the Griffle Hub Kickstarter, you received a thank you tweet from the Hub account. If you donated $2 or more, you got your Twitter handle is the best Griffballer of all time. So, Lamb Chop is the best Griffballer of all time. And I'm sure a lot of people have seen those going out over the last couple days. And
yes.
So each tier becomes more and more valuable. So you have to brainstorm the tiers, which is what we were just talking about.
Perhaps the best thing about Kickstarter is you set a goal for you have to reach this dollar amount. For us, it was $1,600. So if we raised fewer than $1,600 over the 30-day period, we would get absolutely nothing.
All the money to the backers would be returned.
Yes, the backers would be charged nothing. We would receive nothing. The Kickstarter would fail. No money would change hands at all. But once you reach $1,600, then you are guaranteed to get that. The backers are guaranteed to be charged however much they pledged, and then anything above that, you can do additional things with.
So our original goal was $1,600. We needed to make $1,600 in order for the Kickstarter to be a success and for us to actually receive the money. And then after we met that within the first 48 hours, we made what we called stretch goals, which are arbitrary goals that you put out there to encourage people to continue giving. For example, I think after $1,600, our next stretch goal was $2,000. And we promised, hey, if we hit $2,000, we're going to make these cinch sacks and we'll give you some box art that Pup made. And so after that, then it was $2,400, and then we just kind of kept going. And so if you don't make these stretch goals, they're unofficial. So it's not really a problem, but it's a way to entice people to continue to donate even after the original goal has been made.
Yes.
And that is how we went from $1,600 to $4,600.
Yep. You would put up those additional stretch goals to entice people to give, because if you don't have those stretch goals, the big worry is people are going to go, oh, well, reached your goal, guess you don't need my help.
Yeah. And as you can tell from the Griffball Kickstarter, it really did make a big difference, because $1,600 would have just been a 10x10 booth with just some swag, and that would have been it, like buttons and wristbands and stuff.
Some lanyards.
And that would have been it.
That's all we would have is buttons, wristbands, lanyards, 10x10 booth, and Griffballers there to answer questions. We wouldn't have the bags, we wouldn't have the t-shirts, we wouldn't have information cards, we wouldn't have 2 kinds of buttons, we wouldn't have the stickers, and we wouldn't have the playable Griffball stations.
Yes, most significantly, we were able to double our booth space, and we were able to have Griffball playable at the booth by having these stretch goals. So that was really exciting, and so I feel kind of like we're all over the place now.
We're still talking about RTX 2013.
Right.
I'm sorry, PAX East 2013, back in March.
Oh, okay.
So, exited the panel, we worked out the math on the ride home. We were thinking, okay, booth $1,200, here's how much the wristbands cost, about $100, buttons about $100, lanyards, we can get some lanyards for some money. So $1,600 seems to be a good goal for the bare minimum of what we want to do at RTX.
Mm-hmm.
Just have a presence on the show floor. So we started designing the Kickstarter. We talked about different goal levels we could have. And so we were thinking about what could Griffball Hub, particularly the staff on Griffball Hub, what could we give that would be free to very, very low cost for us, or only cost time that people might be interested in having?
Yes.
So we came up with our goals. Like Goose said, the first two, $1 and $2, were our Twitter goals. So we'd send out a personalized tweet for you from the Griffball Hub Twitter account, which is cheap as free, nothing, it doesn't cost anything to us, but people like seeing that. People would value that.
Oh my god, people really liked seeing that. They got really excited this week.
Yes. The one of the causes for those ideas, they've mentioned it at the panel, was that in the Penny Arcade Kickstarter, their $1 reward was Gabe will shout your name at a duck.
Yes.
I was like, well, 6,000 people selected that. I don't think he actually did it, but it was enough to make people laugh and give at least something to the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
So for the $5 level, access to the donor forum on Griffball Hub. So if you have an account on the forums, we'll give you access to the donor forum. That's the same thing we do for the chip-in widget that's on the front page. You get $5 or more to that. That goes to paying the site bills and all that. You get access to the donor forum.
So that was basically a donation goal that we already had in place.
Yes.
But not everybody knew about.
Yep. This was just 2 different places, 2 different ways to donate to Griffball Hub. The next one is for $20. We would put your gamer tag in the credits of the RTX Griffball highlight reel, which we showed right before this podcast. So this was also free. Pup was going to make that highlight reel anyway for the Griffball panel, so it didn't cost me anything extra to put in a slide with all of the names thanking people for donating to the Kickstarter. For $35, you would have a special sponsored by banner at the booth, where your gamer tag would be listed as one of our elite sponsors. Again, this cost the price of the extra banner, which is like $40 to get that printed and put on the booth, and then the time to design the banner, lay out the names, use Zero Zebra's artwork in the center of it. So, again, that was something that we could create on our own at a very minimal cost, but hopefully would be an adequate enough reward to entice people to give. And
something else to keep in mind is that if you selected something at the $35 level, you got that goal and everything else that preceded it.
Yes.
So, if you you would get your name on the banner and your name in the highlight reel and the tweets
and the donor form.
And the donor form. So it's cumulative. You don't just have to choose. It's all together.
Yep. And that's especially important because we don't want people going, well, I really want to give $35, but I really like the $20 reward, so I'll only give $20 to get that. And also, it's these up to this point, they're all rewards that don't cost anything for us, any real money from us except just time. Yep. So it's easy to compile them all together. So for the $50 reward, we had a special Tumblr, which was people required a password to access. We posted updates in the run-up to RTX, and at RTX we recorded special videos every day and posted them to the Tumblr. Yeah. So a little something extra. People, like we said, got all the previous rewards, but the $50 level, they got access to the Tumblr. Mm-hmm. So again, just extra stuff that just required time by us and would entice people to give and support the Kickstarter. $75 was by far our most popular tier.
That was like the golden goal there.
Yes. This was the one where people actually got physical rewards for donating. This way they got the swag bag, which originally was just the wristband, button, and lanyard. But we also promised, as we reach our stretch goals, you will also get one of everything that we are making for RTX.
So the T-shirt, the note cards, the box art, things like that.
Yep. So people knew that if they donated at $75, the Kickstarter met its minimal goal, they're going to get some stuff. If the Kickstarter goes above and beyond and keeps, reaching more and more stretch goals, they're going to get even more awesome stuff.
More stuff.
Yeah, just for not donating a single penny more over $75, your reward keeps growing and growing and growing as the Kickstarter is more successful. Which also gives people a reason to get their friends to donate. It's like, hey, if I've donated $75, if you all donate too and reach the stretch goal, I'm going to get more cool swag.
I'm going to get a T-shirt.
Yeah, exactly. The $100 one was something that we only put a limit of 5 for the $100 reward because it was a special guest appearance on the Hubcast.
Yeah. So, and that's something that you can do when you're making your pledge goals is you can limit the number that are available. So, for example, we only had 5 $100 pledges available. So even if it was already full and you donated $125, you still wouldn't get that because it was already filled up. So the danger side is that you were limiting the amount of people who might give that much, but on the positive side, it might be enticing people to actually give it quicker and help get a larger amount faster because there's only 5 and it is limited.
Yep, and the real reason why it was limited at 5 is, like we said earlier, we don't want to reach a goal where where we can't fulfill the reward.
Yes.
Like, if we had 25 people go for that goal, if this was very popular, then that means every week for the next 25 weeks, this is 6 months. The next 6 months, we're going to have somebody come on the Hubcast, as a guest, and that also deals with technical issues as we deal with people with bad internet or bad mics.
Timing.
Yeah, we're making sure they're free on Thursday nights. And
so, yeah, that's why we only had 5.
Yeah, I wanted to put a cap on that in case it blew up. That way, it wouldn't be unable to fulfill that goal.
And then our next 2 levels kind of wah.
Next 3 levels.
Next 3 levels were wah.
Yeah, they were a drawing for people, a special guest spot on Wednesday Night Griff Brawl, and the Griff Ball poster akin to the Hot Bikini Guys poster we did for them that couldn't reach when they won the championship.
Yeah.
So it was 3 goals. There were also things that were of minimal effort for us. Like, they're not effort, I don't want to say minimal effort, minimal cost to us.
Yeah.
Not something that's going to cost hugely out of pocket to get them to people.
Well, yeah, it doesn't cost us anything to have somebody on Wednesday Night Griff Brawl.
Yes. Rally doing a drawing, it takes just Rally's time. He doesn't have to shell out for that. Yeah. Or me making a poster for people. It's, just time of me working in Photoshop to put that together. So it's something that was minimal cost. It only required our time, but something we hope people would find to be cool enough to donate.
But they didn't.
These reward tiers might have been overpriced, might have overestimated the
well, one
value.
thing specifically about these 3 tiers is that they're very, very specific to League Griff Ball. Your average matchmaking player doesn't know about Wednesday Night Griff Brawl, they don't know about Rally's comics, and they don't know about you and your awesome poster making skills. So, yeah, I think they were overpriced, and I also think that they just weren't generic enough to appeal to a larger audience.
Yes,
say the swag bag.
Yes. Like, everybody, if you're a Halo fan, you will love getting the swag bag in the mail. If you are a Halo fan who is not a particularly Griff Ball fan, like not a League player, picture Louis Wu, for example. Like, Louis Wu would love receiving the swag bag, but wouldn't really care about being on a guest appearance on Wednesday Night Griffball or being on the Hubcast or something.
Quack says we should have given examples. We did actually on our Kickstarter page. We have pictures of what the poster looks like and what the drawing looks like and what that all entails. So yeah,
I know that the poster one even featured taco pizza on it.
I know, sweetie, I know. But no, that's a good thing. I mean, that's a good point to bring up, is that if you're promising something, you should really do your best to be able to show what it is that you are delivering.
Yep. Now, the final tier was one that was kind of a stretch in how much it cost. We didn't know if people would be willing to pay that for it, but it's one that was very highly valued, especially among Griffballers. It was a $250 goal. Or reward level. It was to have Forging Expert Run Knockyard Run create a unique Griffball home court for you or your team. And it also included everything $75 and below, so the swag bag and the shout out on Twitter and all that jazz.
And this had a limit of 3, because obviously
we didn't want Knockyard to have to build 10 additional courts.
So we actually had 2 people take it up.
Yeah.
So Dr. Leo?
Dr. Leo did it the very first weekend the Kickstarter was up. It was the very first night, actually. He donated enough to get this reward level.
So now Ways and Means Committee has a home court.
Yes. And then what the players from What the Griff banded together and pooled their money to be able to get their What the Griff court.
Yeah, I think there were 4 or 5 of them that kicked in like $50.
Yep.
So they got all that.
So at least Knockyard now has a value on how much each court is worth.
Yeah.
Each court is worth $250.
Yeah, people are just willing to pay.
Yeah. So I think this is a reward tier that we'd definitely be interested in bringing back next year.
Yeah, just some reevaluating of some of the higher goals, how they were just probably a little too league specific, and we want to make them more generalized. And I like the $75 goal.
Yep.
It doesn't seem as much as $100. Like psychologically, it's just there. But
yeah, no kidding. You're not getting $75 worth of merchandise. But then again, this is Kickstarter. You're doing it to be a philanthropist,
right? So I mean, that's something also to keep in mind, is that you want whatever you're giving away to have a large profit margin. For example, say the swag bag, as in total, cost $30-$40 to create, and that's a huge exaggeration. But then we still have like a $35 profit margin. And you figure not only is that going to pay for the bag, but that's also going towards getting the televisions for the booth, getting the other pieces of merchandise, getting the booth space itself, paying for power, which I didn't know you had to do until I was confronted when we were setting up. Mm-hmm. They're like, oh, you have to pay money for power. So, surprise!
Yeah. So the reward levels overall, I think the $175 and below were very successful.
Yes.
One thing that I think caused the one for the Hubcast to sell out, but the ones above it not to sell out, was that it was the cheapest one.
Yes.
That people would think, well, I was going to donate $75 anyway, but if I donate an extra $25, I can be on the Hubcast as well. Mm-hmm. So I think if we were to take these reward levels and keep them, maybe we would bump the price down so that, hey, you can donate $75 and get the swag bag, or you can donate $80, get the swag bag plus a drawing from Rally.
Yeah.
And put a limit on that just to entice people to give, just a tiny bit more, and I think it would be worth the extra $5 to get that for your reward.
And we are already kind of brainstorming other tiers that we want to introduce next year. What other things can we throw into the swag bag? What other features can we promise that we're legally allowed to promise and that we can actually fulfill? So if you're making it a drawing from NCOT, I'll do it. Good to know. Good to know, Shad. Thank you. So obviously, if you have any ideas, like Shad here, about what you think would be interesting, I think my favorite idea that we've brainstormed so far is to make it about $150, would be about the pledge level, and there'd be a limit of like 5, but actually getting football jerseys and having Griffball on them, and having like the Griffball logo, and making it I think that'd be really cool. It's something that we'd really have to, you've got a lab coat.
There was a Kickstarter that happened recently. It just ended on Friday. Atomic Robo was a comic I read. It's awesome. It's by the guy who did 8-Bit Theater. And what they did is, in their Kickstarter, they had a very limited quantity of these things. They had lab coats that they were giving away, in addition to a bunch of like pens and stickers and the kind of stuff we would give out. But there was a very limited quantity, but it was a high-tier, high-priced item. Mm-hmm. So obviously, for them to get a lab coat would cost a pretty penny. Probably like $80 to get this printed. But for us, we're thinking the same thing, that if we do a jersey, that's going to cost us like $60 or something to print that.
Right.
But if we charge more than that, it can be a premium item that's only available to a few people. It can be customized, get their name on the back,
and then
grip ball in the front.
All the other stuff at the lower levels as well.
Yeah, and they get all the stuff from below that, but it would be high enough price that people would be enticed to buy it, even if the item they're getting is not worth that value.
Receptor 17 suggested Halo screenshots and printing them. We did think about that. Yeah, but unfortunately, it is producing something that doesn't belong to us. And I don't think we'd get called out on it, but we could. And so we're definitely avoiding anything that could cause contention like that.
We've even had problems with like printing our business cards.
If it has a Spartan on it.
That they have a screenshot Spartan on them. There are some places that would refuse to print them for us. Mm-hmm. So, things like that would be difficult.
So, but it's those kind of ideas that we want to hear from the community, because we want to create reward levels that you guys want. That's the whole point, is creating the kind of content and merchandise that the community is interested in.
And even if we have a reward level like the jerseys, and they're high-priced, people get them, and they sell out, there's nothing stopping us from introducing a new reward level later on in the Kickstarter. That's what this Atomic Robo one did, is that for $250 you get the lab coat and all the other junk. But he introduced a new reward that I think after that one sold out at $300, which was the lab coat and all this junk. So the early one was for the early birds who got it first, and then if you wanted it afterwards, you had to pay the $50 premium.
And I think that's one great thing about Kickstarter, is that it's incredibly flexible.
Yeah.
You can always change pretty much anything as long as you don't adjust something you've already promised.
Yes.
So you can always add more reward levels. You just can't alter things that you have already promised to people.
Yeah, as soon as somebody chooses a reward level, it's set in stone, it's locked, you can't alter it anymore, but you can always add new ones later on if you would like.
Yeah, so if you did a $50 and it sold out, you could do a $51 one as well. So again, we've spent a lot of time on it because it really was the most important and the most difficult part of the entire process, I think, by far, was thinking up these rewards and being able to describe them and give examples of them to entice people to come and want to actually donate.
Yeah.
That definitely, I think, was the hardest part of the entire process.
I've read some people discussing other projects on Kickstarter, projects that haven't gotten off the ground, where they go out there, they get maybe 5% to meeting their goal to start with, and then it doesn't go anywhere, and they don't meet their goal and they're not get funded. I think the biggest difference for us is we had a built-in community ready to go.
Oh.
I couldn't imagine launching a Kickstarter where you only can rely on your friends and family to give to it, and you don't have hundreds of griftballers who would be willing to donate, and plus the broader Halo community, HBO and Waypoint and then Rooster Teeth and all these other communities we could tap into to get people to donate to the Kickstarter to make this dream a reality.
And that was the next thing I wanted to touch on, and it was also something that came up in the Kickstarter panel that we attended, was you need to have a built-in community. And if you don't have one, you need to start creating one. So in the Hubs example, we were creating that kind of community and we didn't even know it. By going to conventions and regularly handing out free stuff, the wristbands and the buttons and the business cards and all of that kind of stuff, we were already setting a precedent of, hey, we can produce this stuff and we can deliver it. And so it fosters a sense of trust in the community. If we're promising you something, we have a proven track record of not only promising it, but delivering it. So that's something that's really important. If you are just a person fresh off the ground, you don't really have a community, and you start a Kickstarter, you're probably not going to be super successful because you don't really have people to support you.
Your only hope is if the media were to pick it up.
And it's something really, really cool and everybody wants it.
Yes.
But, for something like this, if we didn't have the kind of dedicated followership that we do, there's no way this would have happened. Even at the 1,600 mark, there's no way it would have happened.
No, we were talking about this at PAX East. There's a community dinner we went to, and we had people at the table. We mentioned this idea. They were like, that is the greatest idea I've ever heard. Can I give you money right now?
Take my wallet.
Yes.
Shut up. What is it? Shut up and take my money.
Yes.
So, but yeah, you need to have that foundation there. And if you don't, you need to start building it before you actually do a Kickstarter.
Yep.
Or, I guess, I can't say 100%, but you are much more likely to be successful if you have developed a community or rather, not necessarily a community, but you've developed a reputation for being able to fulfill your promises and deliver quality content, whatever it might be.
Yep. So we put the video together. We shot it here. We used some the footage from last year's RTX of Goose and Tex on stage doing the tournaments and things like that. Got a griff ball, set it up, put swag out there so it kind of looks like what we imagined the best approximation of the booth we could do.
Mm-hmm.
So we put that together, shot it, Goose describing the project. She said that it would cost over $1,000 for the booth. It was like ridiculous amount of money.
Well, it seemed like so much.
It did. So we put the video up on Kickstarter, laid out the rewards, typed up our big spiel about why this is awesome and why everybody should empty their wallets for us, and put together some pretty graphics for it, and submitted it to the Kickstarter people for approval.
And then we waited with rapt anticipation.
Yeah. We made sure before this not to promise people that the Kickstarter was coming, but to say that we're submitting the Kickstarter and emphasize it's up to the Kickstarter people whether or not it gets approved.
Yeah.
So we checked some of the other projects that were out there. The gaming category really was about, I'm creating an awesome video game, please support me.
Yeah.
I'm making the next generation RPG, or I'm making a home console, or whatnot. And ours didn't really fit in that very well.
And I was also worried because they make it explicit in the Kickstarter rules that projects about, hey, send me to PAX aren't allowed.
Yes.
Like personal, pay for me to go someplace. So I was a little bit worried that might fall under that purview.
Yes. So we didn't know if this would be accepted. We had legitimate doubts that they would reject this and say, I'm sorry, this isn't really the kind of project we're looking for on Kickstarter. And then we wouldn't really have means to raise money in a Kickstarter-like fashion elsewhere, or at least in the kind of Kickstarter reputation that we would trust.
Mm-hmm.
So it probably would have been a no-go. Fortunately, they accepted it.
They said yes.
And after Kickstarter accepts a project, you have free reign to launch it whenever you would like.
So yeah, you don't have to do it immediately. If you get approval and you want to wait a week, you can.
Yes. We launched it pretty soon afterwards, though. We had a plan so that we would launch it in March 29th, and we would end it
April 25th.
Yeah, that Thursday, right when the Hubcast was, so that during the Hubcast we could count down.
Well, it was also important too because the deadline for applications for booth space was May 1st.
Yes.
So we knew that there was a limited time. I mean, I think we got lucky and that it worked out with the Hubcast, but we knew that we needed it to end probably at least a business week before we needed to submit all of the materials and the application.
Yep. So we launched the Kickstarter on Friday evening, March 29th, and it was pretty wild.
It was insane.
Yeah, it was pretty nuts for that first weekend.
Oh my gosh, my phone was blowing up. It was awesome.
Yeah, I remember when we went to bed that Friday evening late and we were out brainstorming, other merch we could do, and woke up in the morning and saw like $300 donation from Dr. Leo. It was like, whoa, that's like we're on like halfway point already on Saturday morning.
So, and it was very exciting to go through that process of watching the backers come in and watching the donations come in and trying to figure out, because some people put their gamer tags, some people put their real names, and trying to figure out who people are. And there was one guy who we don't know who he is, and he didn't ask for any reward or anything, but we went to his Kickstarter page and it just said philanthropist.
Yeah.
And he donated, I think, $300.
Yeah, it was just philanthropist from Seattle. He'd backed a bunch of other Kickstarters, and ours was one of them.
Yeah, he didn't even want a swag bag or anything. He just wanted to donate. So I guess it gets all types, and of course we're eternally grateful for that.
And not to short anybody who donated less money. Like, for the popularity of a Kickstarter, I mean, the $4,600 is cool, but something we are equally as proud of is the 78 backers.
Yeah, to me that's
dozens of people give.
Yeah, that's the more important number to me, is the number of people who supported the project.
Yes. So the Kickstarter was off. We had that traditional U-shape, so we had the huge flurry of activity the first weekend, and then it tapered off after about a week, and then it picked right back up near the end. About $3,000 is where we topped off for about a good week and a half in the middle of the Kickstarter.
We just held steady there.
Good 10, 15 days, we were at about $3,000. And every day, we'd get like a $20 donation or a $5 donation or something in that in-between period. But we had stretch goals, ideas that we wanted to pursue. We were constantly, in those early days, pricing out how much these things would cost. Mm-hmm. We initially found out after we already met $1,600, that $1,600 wasn't going to be enough for the booth, wristbands, buttons, and lanyards, that we'd be short.
That was quite an upsetting and very stressful realization when we figured out that we were off.
Yeah, counting things like shipping and a few other small things that added up, a few small costs that added up to be a little large. So it actually $1,600. If we had just met $1,600, it probably would have cost us a few $100 out of pocket to be able to make just what we promised, 10x10 boot space, and that very simple swag. So for our next two stretch goals, where we promised the cinch sacks and the T-shirts, we bumped those up to $400 each. The cinch sacks and the T-shirts cost about $200 each to print enough for all the donors. So we built in a bit more wiggle room there to pad, to make sure we could deliver everything we promised up to that point. And the $4,400 for the playable Griff ball, we priced how much the TVs would cost. That was pretty much the major thing. And then some other small things to make the playable Griff ball possible. Double the boot space was the other half of that. So another $1,200 for the next 10x10 booth. So pricing all that together with the TVs, we figured it would cost $2,000 to do that. So we tacked that on to our $2,400 stretch goal to reach $4,400. So then we got up to that. $4,400 looked like a long shot during the middle parts of the Kickstarter when we were at $3,000 and we weren't going a whole lot further. But there was a huge flurry of activity over the last 72 hours.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was pretty amazing that we slowly crawled up to inching towards like 3,700, and then a sudden burst. We got like another $1,000 over the last couple days.
And I think what's really important, if nothing else, and we've said it before, and we're going to say it another million times, is that you need to plan for shipping. Because we had this fantastic spreadsheet that had like 3 different prices for every single piece of swag that we ordered based on how much we ordered and where we ordered it from. It was this enormously complex
If any
Excel.
Kickstarter backers want to see our spreadsheet, make sure your money got spent.
So, but we kept track of every single dollar, and we priced everything out, and we, in our minds, we even had a column for shipping. So that we, did that. But at the end of the day, we actually paid probably about $500 out of pocket. We were probably about $500 over what our Kickstarter total was.
Yes.
So, yeah.
There is one
shipping.
thing. There is one thing we didn't fully appreciate, or we didn't appreciate how big of a chunk it would be from a very large total, like $4,600, and that was Kickstarter's take and Amazon's take. Kickstarter charges 5%, I want to say, for any successful project. So 5% of our $4,600, which is $200 and change, Kickstarter got. And then Amazon to do the transaction, to take money from people and then give the money to us, since Amazon's the middleman. Yeah, they charge 2.5% of the total value. So that was 7.5% that we lost through Amazon and Kickstarter. So that was $300 and change.
Which doesn't sound like much, but that's pretty much how much we spent on shipping, getting the swag back to the donors.
Yes.
So always, always, always give yourself extra room.
Yes.
Because, dear Lord.
Yes, if you ever do a Kickstarter, overestimate how much it's going to cost. Don't be afraid about failing, because if you succeed and you can't afford it, that is worse than failing.
Yes. So I think that's kind of was the overarching story. And then, of course, after the Kickstarter ended and we were successful, then came this entire ridiculous month-long in-depth search of all things promotional items or swag or merch. I learned every single word that you could Google search for. And I swear I looked at probably 40 different types of lanyards.
Yep.
Pricing them, the quality, the texture, the shipping, the delivery. I think it's one of those unsung parts of what made the Kickstarter successful, that was successful.
I didn't know there were that many types of lanyards, like nylon lanyards.
Yeah, because there's the nylon, there's the cord, and you have to decide you want 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, 1 inch, 1 3/4 inch, and do you want color press or imprint, or it just, the options are kind of ridiculous. So it actually took a lot of research, several dozens and dozens of hours of research to find the best merchandise for the least amount of price to maximize every single penny we could get.
Yes. Yeah. So we wanted to make sure that we got as much value out of the money that we were given through the Kickstarter as possible. Mm-hmm. So searching for the best price swag was a big part of that.
Lordy. And then ordering it. And tip, you can ship directly to the hotel. I wish I had done that because that would have made our lives so much easier.
Yeah, there was originally some of the swag, the first swag we ordered, like the buttons and the wristbands, the easiest stuff to get to us, we ordered to arrive to our place in Washington, D.C. And then we figured, okay, we'll go to the post office and ship it to Texas.
Ugh.
Ship it to Austin as we get closer to the convention. Then we thought, well, Tex lives in Texas. Who'd have thunk?
Oddly enough.
He lives in Dallas, which is about 2 hours or so outside Austin. So why don't we just ship it to Tex's house, and then we can just pile it up in the car and drive it down to Austin.
Yeah.
And then we learned, oh, wait, we could ship directly to our hotel, which is closer to the convention center, as in 1 block away. Yeah. So we ended up shipping a bunch of stuff there, too.
I mean, it was amazing that we actually fit everything into that car. There were
we all just suck it in, yeah.
Serious concerns that we wouldn't be able to make everything fit. So that was very stressful. So yeah, pro tip, you can send it to the hotel, and I even asked the hotel, we're still like a month out, is that okay? They're like, oh yeah, that's fine. So there you go. That's really, that would have been really helpful.
Yep.
Especially shipping Griff.
Yeah, there were a few things like Griff, black Griff Ball hub posters that we gave to the booth volunteers. Mm-hmm. Some things like that we threw in that we didn't list in the Kickstarter because we wanted to have some surprises for the people that were coming to RTX.
Like the cake.
Yes. We had a special cake. Zero Zebra's design was on the cake, which
it was
pretty
a chocolate
awesome.
Cake with Oreo and cream icing, but it had the Got Hammered at RTX logo that Zero Zebra drew on the front.
Yes.
On the top of it, rather.
Yeah. So that was pretty amazing. Overall, it was a smashing success. Ran through the Kickstarter process. Now we are Kickstarter evangelists. Yes. Kickstarter is an awesome platform. If anybody's interested in crowdsourcing any kind of project that they have, regardless if it's big or small, you don't have to raise $1 million. Ours was comparatively pretty small.
Yeah.
The other Kickstarters I've backed online are ones that have raised hundreds of thousands of dollars.
I can just say I'm really glad we didn't raise hundreds of thousands of dollars, just because the amount of time we'd have to spend at the post office would make me cry.
Yeah, that would have delayed that shipping date by quite a bit.
I mean, there's even video of us at RTX with all the swag spread out over the hotel room and the assembly line of everybody in the room just stuffing the bags. And that was only like 30 bags.
Yes.
So, yeah, I'm kind of glad we didn't get too wild and crazy there.
Yeah.
But it's almost an hour. So I know there are 2 things that I still want to do. I want to make sure that we take questions, if anybody has any. So if you have some, think about them. But I also want to talk about our future plans, because we're already thinking about RTX 2014 and what we can do to make the booth better and consequently, therefore, vis-a-vis concordantly, the Kickstarter better.
Yes. So right now, there are some things we ordered that we can put forth to next year, like the televisions.
Yes,
it turned out it was cheaper to purchase 4 televisions for the booth than it was to rent televisions.
Go figure.
Yeah, so renting TVs would have cost about $1,300 in total, would have happened for just the weekend, and they would have been 24 inches. Instead, we're able to purchase 29-inch televisions for only $1,000.
Woohoo! And we keep them.
Yeah, and now they're ours to keep. So at least some of the things can be taken care of next year. So if we wanted to repeat exactly what we did this time,
right.
Double the booth space, et cetera, there's some costs we wouldn't have to front. The banners that was over the booth, the Griff Ball Hub banner, we won't have to repurchase that.
All $40 of it.
Yeah, the televisions will be all set. The Xboxes we used at the booth were all donated by people.
Yes.
Like Tex had a friend, Tex donated one.
Shotgun Rumble.
Sam's was there, we had one, Shotgun Rumble. So yeah, we had Xboxes that were donated, which was a big help. The
televisions we sent home with Mur and Allie since they drove, and they're housing them for us until RTX 2014, and they'll drive them back out to us.
Yes. Yeah, that worked very well. But for next year, for the Kickstarter, a lot of the things would be the same, I think.
Well, obviously we'll probably have another cinch bag, but we'll have a different design.
Yes.
And we'll have buttons and lanyards, but they'll have different designs on them.
The time period would be the same.
Yeah.
We still want to stick around 30 days.
Yes.
I think that's really a sweet spot. That is a perfect time for a Kickstarter. It's going to be around the same time of year.
Well, maybe a little earlier in March, so we're not up against that application deadline.
Yeah, I'm just saying don't expect it in like January or December.
No, like March 1st would probably be the earliest.
Yeah.
I would say mid-March.
Yep. So it'd be around the same time. We're probably going to go bigger.
Well, duh.
For the Kickstarter.
I mean, we're going to have to.
$1,600 probably won't be the basic goal. It'll probably be bigger than that.
I would probably say $2,400 is the base.
Yeah, our minimum... I would like to say, too, if we're confident enough we'd be able to raise the money, that what we would like to do, at bare minimum, is repeat what we did this year.
Yeah, I don't see us going any smaller.
Yeah.
Ultimately, in my dreams, is what we would have is actually a larger booth, so we would have... I don't even know what you call it, but take what we had and double it.
I'd say a quadruple booth.
Yeah, quadruple booth, so a 20 by 20 booth. And then we would actually have 8 televisions and 8 Xboxes so that each person has their own station to play, and they don't have to share screens.
Yep.
And then obviously the information side would probably be pretty similar. But that is kind of what my next step in my brain is just going that next step and having everybody have their own television, their own chair, or whatever.
Yes, I think that would be amazing. And for next year, we don't know if... Well, we have a pretty good guess that we'll still be playing an Xbox 360, that the Xbox One Halo game won't be out yet.
Yeah.
And there won't be Griffball available for the Xbox One yet, so we'll still be playing Halo 4 Griffball next year, as far as we know, on the Xbox 360. So we'd have 8 360s set up in a huge LAN configuration with 8 televisions also set up. One thing we learned at the booth is it's important to have a little security at the booth to watch. I mean, one thing we were super paranoid about were controllers walking away. So we made sure that all the controllers we used were either wired controllers or had plug-and-play kits with them. But it turned out it wasn't really that big of a deal at the booth.
It wasn't an issue for us, but many of the other companies there who used wireless controllers had wireless controllers walk away.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think we had a good solution.
I would do the wired controller every day, all day. Okay, I think we need to send Dead Dragon an extra sticker.
Okay.
So yeah, Dragon, we'll send you an extra sticker in the mail. We've got spares.
Next time we send you something. So next year for our Kickstarter, obviously, like we talked about, there's going to be some tweaks to the reward levels. Some of them are very popular and will be returning in some form or another. Like we'll probably have another $1 and $2 reward, similar to what we did this year. Probably other ones like get your name in the credits of the highlight reel, get your name on a banner at the booth, things like that we feel people would donate for and would be valued. The higher tier rewards, we're probably going to slip more into the medium tier, either bump them down or switch them up a bit so that they're not that much of an additional cost to folks. And then also have the supersized rewards like the Griffball jersey. That would be a very limited run. There'd be high cost for us to print, but would also be a high cost for the Kickstarter reward, and would be valued by people who order them.
And I know it was mentioned in the chat box already about the Griff tees. For those who aren't familiar, we are strongly, aggressively exploring printing T-shirts in bulk and selling them on the hub. So as opposed to a Griffballer going out and spending $25 plus shipping to get a custom T-shirt, what we would do is we'll take orders. We'll have one shirt. We'll take orders for who wants it, and then we'll buy it in bulk. So everybody saves money, and then we ship those out ourselves. So if we are able to get this off the ground and going, and we actually turn a profit, the profit would probably go back into the T-shirts. But one, we could probably sell the T-shirts at RTX, so that would help fund it because we'd be bringing in revenue. And two, if it is very successful, we definitely could take some of the funds from that and put it towards RTX as well. We're not going to promise that right now because, again, we don't know how successful the T-shirts are going to be. They might just make enough so that we can keep producing them and not really have any, little overhead. Is overhead the right word? I don't think it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Close enough.
So they're definitely not going to hurt because I think it would be really awesome to be able to sell the T-shirts because that is one thing that I learned. One of the biggest things I learned is that the swag bag and the T-shirts by themselves, people wanted to buy there. And I hadn't thought about that. I didn't really think of the swag bag itself as being anything valuable. I thought it has to be full of stuff. But when we had one left, and I literally had a gentleman come up to me, and they said, I should talk to you. And I'm like, oh goodness, like, yeah, I'm just checking what do you need. He's like, how much for that bag? And I'm like, they're not for sale. We're just giving them away. Here's our raffle or whatever. He's like, no, I get they're not for sale. But seriously, how much can I buy that for? And I like, I'm sorry, they're not for sale. This is for the raffle later today. I can't do that. And I had something similar happen with the T-shirts too. And so yeah, so next year we might be selling the bags as well. I don't really know yet. Mostly because when you start selling merchandise at a booth, you then become subject to the sales and tax laws of the state you're in. So we'd have to be careful about that as well.
We would need some kind of business license within Texas to be able to sell merchandise in Texas.
Yeah.
There would be many additional steps to be able to sell merchandise at the booth.
Yes.
If there is demand for it, and if we think going through that process would be worth it, it's certainly something we'd be open to.
Mm-hmm.
But we're not going to make any promises about doing that at this point.
Yeah. Step 1, get Griff Tees off the ground.
Yes.
Step 2, conquer the world.
Griff
But we're still on step 1.
Griff Tees, though, if we have some money, if we have like $500 come Kickstarter time next year, we're not going to be taking that money and directly donating it into the Kickstarter, because that would be a little fraudulent.
That's illegal.
But what we would do is set that $500 aside and count that for however much money we're going to be asking for the Kickstarter. So if to make our quadruple booth a reality we need $5,000, we would say on the Kickstarter we just need $4,500.
I think we'd still ask for $5,000 and save that $500 for shipping.
For shipping, yes. Yeah.
So those are kind of our, I guess, long-term goals and what we're already focusing on for our RTX 2014. Definitely will not be smaller than what we had this year, so you can pretty much guarantee if we are successful with our fundraising next year that there will be a Griffball tournament, that we will have playable Griffball, we will have tons of swag available and merchandise for people.
If anybody has been to the Waypoint booth, the Halo 4 booth at PAX or PAX East,
yes,
like that kind of size is pretty much what we would be envisioning for a Griffball station at RTX 2014 if our Kickstarter is successful.
I wouldn't. Well, we'll see.
I'm picturing like the 8 TVs, 8 Xboxes back to back, and then having an information desk.
They usually have at least 16.
Okay, picture that, but with 8 TVs then.
24. They usually have 24.
Okay, maybe not that big.
They usually have 3 stations of 8. So look at that math right there.
Yep.
So yes, that is kind of our plans for the long-term future. We definitely want to open it up to the chatbots now. Thank everybody for listening to us ramble. I didn't think we'd have anybody in here, so I'm actually really surprised in a good way. And so yeah, Cal's going to double check our agenda. But if you have any questions about fundraising or Kickstarter, the Kickstarter process, merchandising, anything like that you'd like to ask, we would love to hear from you guys and see if we can be of any help. Little tips like, if I could have known one thing, I would have set aside more money for shipping. And
there's something we've been asked before about why RTX as opposed to PAX or perhaps an independent GriffCon. One good thing about RTX is we've had other people ask us, why don't you do this at PAX or PAX East, do another Kickstarter, get funds for that, is that we feel that RTX is the best place to have a Griffball booth because you have built-in attendance, you have 10,000 attendees that are going to be there to see other things. You're most likely to get Griffballers to come for that reason because Griffballers not only are going to go to play Griffball, but hey, you can meet Bernie, you can go to the Rooster Teeth panel, you can go to the Halo panel, you can play in the Halo 4 Free-For-All tournament, you can hang out in Austin with all these other cool people. So there's a lot to entice people to come to Austin for RTX that might not be there if we didn't have the convention surrounding it. Also, RTX is cheap. RTX is cheaper than PAX to buy tickets, to get people there. It's cheaper for us to buy booth space. Not only is the booth space itself cheaper on the onset, but Rooster Teeth, because
they like us,
because we're BFF, they give us a deal on the booth space so that our Kickstarter dollars will go even further.
Yeah, we got a pretty sick deal on the booth space.
Yeah, and as a returning vendor next year, we anticipate not having to pay full retail price for the booth space.
Right.
PAX, on the other hand, it would be our first time there. We'd have to pony up exactly what they're asking because we don't have that kind of relationship with Penny Arcade. Plus, PAX is packed. They don't have any available booth space. At RTX this year, they could have had more booths on the show floor.
And it just makes sense because not everybody who goes to PAX is a Halo fan. Not everybody who goes to PAX even has an Xbox. But you can pretty much guarantee everybody at RTX has seen Red versus Blue.
Yep.
They know who Griff is. They know the Griffball joke. So, I mean, we had people come up who were like, I've never, what is Griffball? I've never played it. What is this? And so we did have to explain some things, but there were people who were just so excited. They'd never played, but they wanted to come up and get their picture taken with our Griffs cut out and play with the plastic energy sword because they knew it from the show. And that's not something you're going to get at PAX.
Yeah, there's, it was pretty awesome that we had people come to the booth, and some folks were like, hey, I played Griffball once in Halo 3. I haven't played it lately. Can I sit down and can I play on this? Can I play in your LAN here? And that was pretty awesome, but you wouldn't get that at PAX.
No.
And plus at PAX, you have Halo there already. You have 343 setting up their booth. You can go up and play shooty Halo, and I don't think there's enough interest in Halo in general at PAX to necessitate there being a separate Halo booth that specializes in Griffball.
Yeah, there's enough interest in Halo to have both 343 and us at the same place.
Yes.
So that was why we chose RTX, and that we'll continue to choose RTX because they are fantastic to their vendors.
Yeah, the best part about RTX is there's so much to entice people to come, and the overhead costs are minimal because you don't have to pay up front to rent a venue. We don't have to pay for lights. We don't have to pay anything like that. And plus, it entices a lot of Griffballers to come. We had 30 this year. We're anticipating even more Griffballers to go to RTX 2014 next year.
So Receptor 17 was asking if we could have a screen next year that shows what Griffball is using the rules of the game video and the traditional ones, and then some of the highlight reels. And we actually did have that. We had a television at the information part of the booth that was running highlight reels, that was running rules of the game and explaining that kind of thing as well, our tips and tricks videos. So that was running during the event. I'm not quite sure how many people stopped and paid attention.
It's nice for atmosphere.
Yeah, it was nice. And also at the Griffball panel, we did have a chance to explain what Griffball is and things like that. So, but yeah, there were some people who were just shy, and a lot of people couldn't believe that they could just come up and take stuff. They kept asking how much. Like, you want to buy a wristband?
No, we're not charged for the wristbands and buttons. Or the hilarious. So many people love that they get. I got hammered at RTX.
Yeah, that was their favorite thing.
The stickers and the buttons.
Buttons, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess if there's no more questions, we can go ahead and wrap this up. We're just about time anyway.
About an hour now.
Yep. So if you think of any questions, and you know where to find Cal and I on the hub and everywhere, always watching. And
yeah, so please, if you think of any other questions, or if any other, if you're interested in doing a Kickstarter yourself, or you have any ideas for how to improve our Griffball Hub Kickstarter next spring, please let us know. We're always open to feedback. Yeah, so this has been awesome. Thank you so much, everybody, for not only tuning into the podcast or downloading it or watching it live, but also backing the Kickstarter. It was amazing. And we honestly could not do it without all of you.
That is very literal. In like the truest sense of the form.
Also, we wouldn't do it without you, because
that is also true.
That would be a little strange if we started running a Kickstarter for a non-existent site.
That would be really boring.
And a non-existent community.
So just thank you to everybody, and well, I guess I don't know. How do I don't know. I almost said we'll see you next week on the Hubcast. And
well, we will. We will.
So, all right, everybody have a great night. My default go-to closing line.
That works.
Yeah.